Hello there, I'm Nick, and this is the Film Apologist, where we look for the good in bad movies. And I just got done watching Jurassic World Dominion. I don't know if it's entirely a bad movie, but I don't think it's a good one either. That's not to say I didn't have fun. If you want my general opinion of it, I'll just tell you this. If you had any kind of fun with the other two Jurassic World movies, you're gonna have fun with this one. There's a lot of loving references to the original trilogy. They give you plenty of screen time with the OG cast, while still giving plenty of time for Owen and Claire's story. There's a lot of fun action set pieces in there, and yes, while it is a bit bloated, and I will get into that, even with the long running time, it does stay at a pretty quick pace. It is a fun time, it is fun in the theater, you're going to enjoy it. You might not rewatch it a whole lot, but you're gonna have at least a good first viewing. As long as you're not expecting the original cast to also bring back the original intelligence and maturity of the script of the original movie, because that is just not happening. If you're a diehard fan of the original movie, and probably only the original movie, you're probably gonna think this is stupid as hell. If you like the Jurassic World movies, you're probably gonna like this one. Honestly, if you can find enjoyment out of Fallen Kingdom, you're gonna be just fine. And I am one of those people that did manage to find some kind of enjoyment out of Fallen Kingdom. Was it stupid as hell? Absolutely. But I was just kind of there to watch Blue fight an Indoraptor, and that's what I got. As for this movie, like I said, there's a lot going on here, but just to summarize it best I can, they split the focus between the park cast, Grant, Sattler, and Malcolm, and the world cast, Owen, Claire, and Macy. On Owen's end, him and Claire have remained a couple since the last movie. Thank God. I was worried they were going to try and pull that bullshit they split between movies nonsense again. No, they've been a committed couple, and they have been for a long time, 4 years at this point, and they've also been the adoptive parents of Macy, who, which you might recall, is a clone. That also seems to be public knowledge now, and Owen and Claire have kept her hidden from the world, as they feel they will never see her again if she is ever found. But being isolated for 4 years and now becoming a teenager, Macy's being kind of a dick about the whole thing, and boy oh boy, that was so much fun to watch on screen. And while they're dealing with all that, Blue makes her return with a child in tow. Turns out she managed to reproduce without a mate, giving birth to her baby, Beta. And I do have to say, I love that there is still some kind of a bond between Blue and Owen. She is still a wild animal, and she does live her own life, but she does also keep, at least in proximity of Owen, just kind of poking her head in and keeping tabs on the guy, I guess making sure he's safe. It's adorable. As corny as these movies get, they do still treat Blue like a Jurassic Park Velociraptor, and I've always appreciated that. But one day when Blue brings Beta around, Beta decides to hop on down into the yard where Macy is eating a bit of toast. Macy shares her toast with the little Beta, and they form a cute little bond. But unfortunately for the clone kid and the baby raptor, they are both kidnapped by poachers, so Owen and Claire go off to rescue the pair of them. Meanwhile, Ellie Sattler is called in by a farmer whose crops have been destroyed by a massive swarm of massive locusts. These giant bugs have been wrecking the crap out of farms all over the Midwest, but mysteriously don't seem to touch the crops produced by Biosyn. Yes, that company is as evil as it sounds. It's a part of the original books, and they have brought them back as the big bad element of this movie. But yeah, anyway, the bug problem leads Ellie to track down Alan Grant to see if, I don't know, he can vouch for her once she does some research on it, something like that, and she's gonna go straight to the source, Biosyn. And thankfully she has an in, Ian Malcolm, who works for Biosyn as their resident chaotician. I guess that's a job. Okay. And yeah, if you can't tell by now, there are going to be some spoilers here because I'm going to have to talk about some stuff. But if you haven't predicted it by now, Biosyn is behind everything. They're behind the locusts, they're behind the kidnappings. So of course, that leads the two groups of heroes to Biosyn in the second half of the movie. And yeah, before we get to that, I should bring up my first major complaint with this film. The second half of the movie might as well take place on another theme park. It is yet another isolated research facility for dinosaurs. There were so many different ways you could take a story about dinosaurs integrating with human beings, and they don't really do anything with that. Yes, we get a lot of fun examples in the form of cliche news clips, most of which you've already seen, but that's really the most of it. They make for some fun scenes near the beginning of the movie. I gotta say though, the CG at the very beginning was awful. It looked like people were just playing Jurassic World alive. It was really rough. But it does get better as the movie carries on, and they do give us some great shots of a sauropod on a work site or Owen playing Dino Wrangler. And yeah, there is an extended action scene with the Atrociraptors and an underground dinosaur trading ring. But like, that's it. They don't try and solve the dinosaur situation. They just let a bunch of them loose at the end of Fallen Kingdom, just like a room full, really. And like 4 years later, they have somehow just invaded the entire world. There could be some very interesting narratives about an invasive species that can literally destroy your house. But no, instead we get a story about giant bugs and a clone kid and a baby raptor. And yeah, if you were expecting more time with Blue, the raptor they just play up like a superhero, sorry to tell you, she's only in the opening and ending of this movie. I thought we might get an Atrociraptor fight with her, some silly thing like that. No, not the case at all. And Blue aside, that's actually the biggest problem I have with this movie. They just shuffle through the dinosaurs before they can leave any kind of impact. The Atrociraptors get some decent screen time, but yeah, they are just more raptors. And once their scene is done, it's done. Same with the Quetzalcoatlus, the Therizinosaurus, which I'm gonna have things to talk about in just a little bit about that one. The Dimetrodon, Dilophosaurus, the Giganotosaurus, god, oh man. Oh, I completely forgot the Pyroraptor was there. Yeah, they have 3 different types of raptors in this movie. There are a ton of dinosaurs in this flick, and they don't really get a lot of screen time. I am happy to see some returning favorites. I am happy to see some new ones here, but absolutely none of them are going to leave the impact of any of the other critters of the other movies. Yes, I am indeed including the Indoraptor, which was a damn joke. The T-Rex, man, like, what? So it didn't get completely punked out like it did in Jurassic Park 3. And yes, this is still the original Rexy from that first movie, but it doesn't get any real decent screen time either. It shows up one time sniffing a dead deer, then gets bitched out by the Giganotosaurus. Even though it has Alan Grant right there, like that's the kind of reunion I want to see, you know? I want to see Grant deal with that original Rex again. I want to see him interact with raptors. I'll get more into all of that stuff a little bit later when I talk about the ending. But back to the 2 big bad dinosaurs of this movie, the Giga and the Rex. They really don't get a lot of screen time, like I was saying. They briefly meet up, and they show that the Giga is showing its dominance over the Rex, and while I was watching that, I have to admit, I was a little impressed that they did restrain themselves a bit here. While they are 2 giant monsters, they are still animals, and while they would put up a fight like actual animals, if they know they're gonna lose, they're gonna just turn away and go for an easier meal. The Giga does show up again to give our heroes trouble after they all meet, and that is a fun scene. And then it shows up one more time at the end of the movie to have one final showdown with Rexy. And once again, completely trounces her to the point where it looks like it kills her. And I have to admit, for a second, I was a little worried that they were going to just Spino our Rex again, but it was only for a brief second. This movie was extremely predictable, and considering the climaxes of Jurassic World and Fallen Kingdom, of course they were going to turn this into a WrestleMania match. Rexy revives herself while the Therizinosaurus just shows up out of nowhere, picks a fight with the Giga, and Rexy comes from behind and rams the Giga into the fingernails of the Therizinosaurus. What? Look, I'm not gonna pretend I'm above this stupid crap, alright? That first Jurassic World movie where they had the Indominus Rex fight the T-Rex and it looked like the Rex was about to lose, only to hear the the tortoise sex noise, the triumphant return of Blue the Raptor, show up to double team the Indo until it rings out into the mouth of the Mosasaurus. Like, I'm all about that stupid shit. It was hysterical. But they still played up the Raptor pack in that movie. They still had an impact, and even that aside, the Velociraptors have a coveted history with this franchise. The popularity of the species happened because of Jurassic Park. So seeing a T-Rex and a Velociraptor come together to fight this new evil dinosaur was absolutely cornball cheesy stupid shit, but it still worked. And yeah, turning Blue into a superhero to fight the big, dark, evil raptor in Fallen Kingdom, while still stupid, had a very satisfying ending all the same. In this this one, the Therizinosaurus is just here. Why? This is a plant-eating dinosaur, and it showed up for one other scene earlier, and it was just a dick. It saw a deer and just slapped it away because it was hungry and wanted to eat the plants the deer was eating. It shows back up again to tag team the Giganotosaurus, and then that's it. It was so unsatisfying. It was so disappointing. Like, I can sit through a lot of stupid shit as long as you give me a good dumbass Godzilla fight at the end of these movies. And this is hands down the weakest one of the trilogy. Because outside of the Therizinosaurus, which again did not earn this victory, it also shows yet again that Rexy cannot win her own fights. I was genuinely hoping that she would just take down this monster by herself. Nope, she needs help from this dickhead goose. And the Giga itself, yeah, it gave our hero some trouble, but again, it was only for one scene. As far as like the big bad dinosaurs are concerned for these movies, this is easily the weakest one of the bunch. Again, I'm including the Indoraptor in that mix. Yeah, it only showed up for the second half of the movie, but it still got some shit done. It got some kills under its belt and had an awesome one-on-one fight with Blue. Even the infamous Spinosaurus, that was a proper villain. It antagonized our heroes, it hunted them down, it was a threat present throughout the entire film. For the most part, the Giga is just doing its thing, and then it gets a flaming spike down its throat, and then it gets stabbed by a jerk that doesn't know how to use nail clippers. Yes, I'm happy that Rexy got a win, but I honestly was never surprised that she was gonna win. I guess I'm more surprised that they did the fake out death more than anything else. Like I said, they almost got me for a quick second there, but it just wasn't enough. But it still felt like they put that in there because they felt like they had to. Like, oh right, we have to have some big random dinosaur battle before this movie ends. There was no reason for Rexy and the Giga to show up in the spot where the heroes were going to get picked up and safely flown off the island. The animals were just let into the facility. There wasn't like holding pens or anything. It's just that all the locusts that were a problem before were set on fire because Dodson, yeah, they brought Dodson back for some reason, was trying to destroy all the evidence of them making the locusts. But then they got loose and they set the facility on fire, so they brought the dinosaurs into the indoor facility where all the scientists are, and they don't have enclosures for them. Like, what was the battle plan there? I don't know. We could spend a great deal of time breaking this down scene by scene. I haven't even talked about BD Wong's character or the pilot who's also there, or even the other dinosaurs. There are plenty of other dinosaurs here, but it all happens so fast and it's never satisfyingly sorted out. Like I said, they don't really do a whole lot with the idea of dinosaurs living alongside humans. This has the same problem as the last movie. They're trying to slap two separate films together. I wouldn't mind a story about the Biosyn facility, but make it just about the Biosyn facility. I was expecting Dominion to be a world-traveling crazy adventure, and they do a little bit of it, but it's mostly just in this one place. And they don't spend enough time with anything for it to properly sink in. But yeah, no, I do like all the fun references and callbacks. They do a great deal of that stuff. Even like smaller spots, like how blood is brushed on a very specific type of plant. That reminded me of something specifically out of Lost World. It was nice to see the raptor resonating chamber. They make mention of Ellie's kids and husband, but even that was there to once again try and retcon something established from Jurassic Park 3. Feels like this entire second trilogy is trying to right the wrongs of that one movie. And I'm sorry guys, I gotta tell you, I don't hate Jurassic Park 3. I like the Spinosaurus, and I didn't mind that Grant and Ellie didn't end up as a couple. That was a big deal for a lot of fans. At the start of Jurassic Park 3, they showed that Grant was still a single dude and he visited Ellie and her family. She was married with 2 children. And I've heard people say that seems like a weird thing. Why would you go and do that? Well, honestly, that was one of the most realistic relationships I have ever seen in any movie. I didn't know that Alan and Ellie were a couple in the original Jurassic Park movie when I was a kid. I thought they were maybe alluding to it, even though they literally flat out say that they are a couple. I didn't catch that as a kid, but I did as an adult. Because, yeah, that's how people talk to each other in stable long-term relationships. And yes, even though Alan did learn to like kids, by the end of that movie, it was still very realistic to show him Jurassic Park 3 not having kids of his own. That is something that splits couples apart, because that is a big deal. So yeah, for all of you youngsters out there, quick pro tip, don't commit to a serious relationship where one of you wants kids and the other doesn't. Don't expect your partner to just change, even if you shared a traumatic experience with dinosaurs dinosaurs trying to eat you that one time. And yes, when you deeply care about somebody, even after a relationship ends, that doesn't mean you can't eventually be friends. Adults do that all the time. And Alan checking in on Ellie and her life, that's a perfectly normal thing that people do as well. They gave you everything you needed to understand that they probably split on amicable terms. That's something I've always appreciated about the original trilogy of movies. No, it's not always realistic, especially with what they do with some dinosaur species specifically. But even these characters that are easily color-coded for action figures, they were all played naturally, and that's what worked so well for these guys. They were incredibly relatable. Some a little larger than life or slightly cartoony. Sure, it is still a movie. That's me saying all that because I really didn't need these two ancient human beings locking lips at the end of the movie. That's not why I was buying a ticket. Yeah, I'm glad they're together too. I'm not gonna pretend I'm above it, but taking a step back from that, when I think of Dr. Grant, I'm not hoping that he hooks up with his old flame from the old movie. It is a little exhausting seeing him do the exact same thing he was doing 30 years ago, and still after all this time, failing to make any money out of it. That sucks, and I'm sorry he's in a bad place, but like, if there was gonna be any growth for his character, I would love to see him learn to love dinosaurs again. That's what made him so great as a character in that original movie. Sure, he's this surly, grumpy dude, and that's kind of part of his charm, but seeing the magnificence of a real-life dinosaur in front of him, and seeing that little boy, the one who fell in love with these creatures, burst through that grumpy exterior, that's what made him so special. Not a will they, won't they with Laura Dern. I want to see him talk with Owen about raptors. They did a little bit of that. They almost turned a scene into that thing that Steven Spielberg did in those first two movies, where he has like two different conversations happening on screen at the same time, and you just kind of have to figure out who's saying what. Sure, it's a little messy, but it also felt really natural. It just felt like adults in a room. It felt incredibly casual, and it just, I don't know, it just helped ground this world so well. They almost had a scene like that. They got so close, but we mostly just got a quick, hey, how do you do? And then they carried on with the rest of the movie. That sucks, man. There was a lot of fun on the screen while all this stuff was happening. The story was easy enough to follow, but again, it's just too much of everything. This is again the exact same problem from Fallen Kingdom. Just pick one damn story and stick to it. I love seeing the OG cast. I did love all the callbacks. I'm not above the nostalgia, but you should have just finished up the Jurassic World story. Find a nice happy conclusion for Owen, Claire, and I guess Macy as well. Establish what this new world is like now, and wrap all that up. If you're gonna have the OG actors, you just should have made another movie with the OG actors. There's just too much here, man. As negative as I'm being though, like I said, everybody played their parts excellently, and it was fun to see Grant, it was fun to see Ellie. Actually, speaking of her, it was great to see her have more to do here. If anybody was underplayed in the original movie, it was Ellie Sattler, and she was definitely screwed out from movies 2 and 3. She definitely deserved a lot more screen time. She does get that here, but they just spend so much time on stuff that I can't pretend to care about. I'm not here for the clone story or the retcon of any of that crap. I'm not here for locusts. I'm here for the dinosaurs. Simple as that. They put out a lot of concepts that I would have been fascinated to see. Blue with a baby, human civilization trying to adapt to a world with dinosaurs in it. How do they affect the ecology of this world? Like, invasive species are a problem already in the real world. Now throw some velociraptors into the mix and see how we adapt to that, or how animals adapt to that. More than just quick news compilations at the beginning and the end of the movie. What the hell was that? I'm just whatever about the villains. They just kind of showed up and left. Then Dodson's there playing Steve Jobs, which, yeah, not bored of that archetype yet. Then he gets murked by a Dilophosaurus in the same vein as Dennis Nedry, and I don't know why they made that parallel, because he had some kind of connection with the Barbasol can and Nedry, so they just had to give the Dilophosaurus something else to do. I legitimately forgot the Dilophosaurus was in this movie, and yes, it was nice to see that one back. It has not been in a movie since the original. I'm not counting that quick goofy CG thing from Jurassic World. But again, they were just there. They did a thing. One got stabbed by Owen, and that's about that. I know I'm being heavily negative, but I genuinely did enjoy my time with the movie while I watched it. But again, it's mostly because of my own expectations. This is a standard Hollywood movie, which does kind of suck even after all of these other Jurassic movies, because the bar was set so incredibly high with the first movie. It was so much smarter than it had any right to be. Not the smartest thing in the world, but a damn sight better than everything else that came out after it, as much as I love those movies. The biggest problem I had with Dominion is just that I wanted to see more of the world, and that's not entirely a a bad thing. So I do hope they do more with the Jurassic franchise. I'd like to see more of a world with humans interacting with dinosaurs. Give me some more video games, give me a new TV show, give you some more movies down the line. Whatever the case is, just don't cram everything into one package. Let some of these stories breathe. And I'm just gonna talk about it now because I don't know where else I can talk about it. I'm probably more chill on this movie just because Prehistoric Planet is also out there, and that has given me exactly what I wanted from dinosaur media ever since the original Jurassic Park movie. Look, a lot of fans will excuse the sequels just because, yeah, you're never going to recapture the magic of the original Jurassic Park, and that is true. But I think part of the problem is because they would never recreate that magic in the format of a blockbuster movie. The only way you could truly do that is if you treated these dinosaurs like real, actual animals, put it into an animal documentary like Planet Earth style, and put that ridiculous budget into that so they look as real as possible. And that is exactly what Prehistoric Planet is. Yes, they do take a couple of creative liberties here and there, but they do try to ground it in science as often as possible. And any weird thing they do, it's not here to give you a new cool way to kill a human being. It's just here to show you that dinosaurs were diverse, they were unique, they were their own creatures, just like animals on our planet are now. The natural world is a fascinating thing, and it certainly was back then. And it's not doing some hypocritical bullshit of saying that these creatures are special and magical, but also they want to see what your insides look like. No, it even goes out of its way to show you the T-Rex like on 3 separate occasions doing everything that the Jurassic Park movies didn't show you. You never once see a T-Rex kill anything in Prehistoric Planet. You see it take care of its young. You see it swim. Hell, they cut in after a battle with a Triceratops. I love that they tease the audience like that. I gotta say, it is amazing that Jurassic Park movies have never once had a T-Rex fight a Triceratops. That is super weird because that actually did happen in real life. Prehistoric Planet knows it can show you that and teases it, but it shows you that everything else that this animal did, its mating rituals, the nurturing of its children, all of that is just as interesting as watching it duke it out with a Triceratops. And I do think they intentionally go out of their way to show you some iconic Jurassic species as they're actually supposed to be shown. At least with the raptors, they show you Velociraptor and a Trociraptor. And while the Trociraptor is trying to chase down Owen in this new Jurassic movie, in Prehistoric Planet, it's just chasing down bugs. And it shows you a Thenazinosaurus, and it looks much weirder, but way more interesting than what we had in Dominion. I'm sorry, I know some fans get annoyed when Prehistoric Planet and Jurassic World get compared, but as closely as they are released to each other, the comparisons are going to happen. But the wonderful thing about it is, you can just watch both of these things. If Dominion existed on its own, it might be a little more disappointing, but thanks to Prehistoric Planet also existing, it satisfies my love for dinosaurs in a completely different way, leaving me to enjoy the more mindless action and franchise nostalgia provided by Dominion. Sure, it's fine to like one over the other, it's fine to like only one and not the other. As for me, I'm extremely thankful that 2 separate dinosaur projects can have such a big budget behind them and be successful. Because yeah, at the end of the day, no matter how much I nitpick the movie or compare it to Prehistoric Planet, the fact of the matter is I just want more dinosaur stuff, period. Dinosaurs make everything better. So yeah, I guess that's my final recommendation for you. If you don't care about the nostalgia pandering of the original Jurassic Park stuff in the new Dominion movie, if you didn't like the other ones but you still like dinosaurs, just watch Prehistoric Planet. Or if you're a Jurassic fan and also a general dinosaur fan, enjoy both. Dominion's not perfect. I'd go so far as to say it's kinda stupid, but that doesn't mean you're not going to have fun with it. I certainly did, and yeah, I will be just as excited for whatever the next Jurassic project is. Won't ever be as good as that first movie, but thankfully we have other projects out there carrying that torch in different ways. So yeah, bring it all on, because dinosaurs are awesome. That is going to do it for today, guys. I'm sorry for once again providing you an unexpected video. I keep working on all these other projects, and I know I have stuff I promised literally years ago that have not been done yet, but more and more stuff keeps happening, and I just want to talk about it. And that just means more content for you guys. Also, another big thank you if you're supporting this, because that means you're watching something I've created that doesn't have to do with Sonic the Hedgehog. I love that blue bastard, but I never built this channel with the intention of it being a solely Sonic Sonic focused thing, so I have to stress this anytime the Hedgehog's not involved. If you had a good time here, please go and support the other videos that could use some more elevation, because I would love to talk a little bit more Jurassic on this channel. I only have a few videos on the franchise so far, and I really want to get back to it. So let me know if you want to see more of this. I would love to rank all 6 movies after I've sat down with this one a few more times. I'd love to talk about the weird-ass Lost World games. Promised those a long time ago. So yeah, I know you hear this from every other YouTuber on the planet, but genuinely, if you want more content like this, then please help spread the word. Regardless, thank you so much for your support of this video and my channel. If you want to pitch in any more, I do have a Patreon, and to the people already supporting me, of course, thank you. And an extra special shout out to these people who paid a little bit extra. Kyle Winter, Cirrus the Skeptic, Joseph Duncan Sonic 2 Blue, John, Josh Strider, Casey Monroeosaurus, Faizan Razul, Xanderoni the Painter, Hatsworth, Ginger Bob, Nick S, Tristan Triceratops, sorry Tristan couldn't help myself, Meekers, Dun Dun, Miles the Prower, Jeremy Singer, Mr. Boo J, World's Greatest Bard, Rain, Sam Webster, Dwight Graham, Fishflop, Lucas Lipker, The Bad Pal, Orange, Shodan, Mr. SP, Cecil the Glade, The Dark Neon, Missing No, Stefan Plakanica, 3 Monic, Ty Cyan, Graham J. Hall, Ginger Bob 2, Electric Boogaloo, Wayne Is Boss, Letteric, 64 Bits, David 20 Covers, Ryan Rolfs, The Lumberjack. Hey everybody, it's me, ya boy. Did you know you could change your name on Patreon? Hi, Mr. Poochie. Mute, Trash Baphomet, Autumn from Twitter.com, SSG, Infinite Sonic, That Pyramain, Muy Saxy, Jin Seotame, Dreamboatin, Cunningwise, Nezend, Enerjack 5, Grayson Conager, Sherrod the Hedgehog, HR Hoffman, Spades the Nocturne, Ken K, Then 101, Paxton Bisbee, Sindarin 7, Stevie Cole, 3 Rule 4, Twilord, Ad Zinko, Paisley, Ben, and Eric Delgado. The Shadow tier seems to be a fairly popular one, and I gotta tell you, I'm always excited to yell out these names. Thank you guys so much for your help here. Last little reminder, I am going to be at Too Many Games, and that's coming up very soon. So if you're in the area, I'd love to meet you. And of course, yes, like I keep promising, we got Ninja Turtles coming up, we got Klonoa coming up, and of course, plenty of Sonic content, don't you worry. Origins is just around the corner. But hey, if you want more of a Sonic fix from me, and you're not yet subscribed to Sunset City, then get over there. We talk about Sonic the Hedgehog every week. Yes, it is a bit vulgar. I'm sorry, we are kind of monsters. But if you can handle it, it's a good time. But yeah, guys, let me know what you thought about the movie in the comments below. I'm not kidding. If I can get away with deeper analysis of Jurassic stuff, I want to do that. I just wanted to get this off my chest after I saw the movie because I haven't been able to talk to anybody about it, so this is what I do. So I'd love to know what you think of it when you see it for yourself. So get in those comments because there's a lot of stuff I just glossed over. But until next time, toot toot, you dinosaur kings.